I hereby summon all my imps. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. So, it's time to talk about the man, the myth, the legend, the master of mischief, Loki. And how a lot of people are already calling for bans and restrictions and burning of this card down to the ground. And honestly, I don't think that Loki's all that much of a problem. Now, is he the end-all be-all card? Is he the card that's going to destroy Marvel's time? No. Are there some bad interactions with him that people are getting annoyed with? Yeah. But there's already cards that we could talk about how this could be nerfed. First of all, if you don't like Loki, there's stuff that you can do. The biggest problem with Loki is not even Loki himself. It's the collector, and the fact that collector gets such a boost off of the collector. And the problem with the collector is the collector is a just because card. And until Loki came around, nobody ever played the collector. Pretty much almost every single Marvel agent card didn't see too much play, and especially the collector didn't see play. Because without Loki, the collector can get to like 6, maybe 7 on a good day. So, the easiest way around this is just to take collector's ability and turn it into ongoing, which is the sentiment that a lot of people are talking about. You know, if this became an ongoing effect, it would still work exactly the same, and you'd still have a way of taking down the collector. If you saw it come up, you would just play a rogue, or you'd play an enchantress to take care of the collector. Now, if you don't like Loki, there's other things that we could talk about and we could do. First of all, there's the thinking of putting the minimum 1 on him, which I'm actually shocked and amazed that it didn't come out with minimum 1 on him to start out with. If you look at the Loki on itself, if you look at the actual card, it's one of the few mana reduction cards out there that doesn't have the phrase minimum 1 on it. Which makes it so that it's stacked with other cards. So that you can actually get cards down to 0 that would be normally 1 or even 2 depending on what's going on here. Which means that if you've got the Quinjet and you've got Loki, and if you go into your collection, anything that costs 2 or less is now free, which means everything on this big list of stuff here that your opponent might run now is a 0 cost card. Now, are there ways around this? Sure. And one of the major ways around this is just to make it so that it's minimum 1 just going forward. But above all that, it's more the fact that as time goes by, more and more cards are falling into the just because category. And what I mean by the just because category are cards that you know are just good because there's really no counter behind them. Like Angela. Angela's good because you can't Cosmo her, and you can't Enchantress or Rogue her because her effect just happened. And there's other cards that are falling into this category that you know are just good cards. But like stuff like Bishop. Bishop, a good card because of the fact that you can't ongoing and you can't Enchantress it. So you can't Enchantress it and you can't Cosmo it. Now, is it bad to get rid of every card that's a non-effect? No. Some cards just need it, like Crossbones. If you look at Crossbones, you can only play this at locations where you're winning. You can't put that on reveal, you can't put that on ongoing. I mean, technically you could make this an ongoing effect, but all that would do is make this card actually kind of better, then it would actually fit into a Sauron deck almost. And that's the problem. There's so many cards that, like, just get out of hand, because imagine if Kitty Pryde had on reveal on her card. You know, that every time that you play Kitty Pryde, you gotta worry about it being on revealed. And that would allow certain cards to shine again if you needed to do it. Like Nebula is really falling down because of Kitty Pryde. But if you left Kitty Pryde as a non-effect card, sorry, if you left Nebula as a non-effect card, but you changed Kitty Pryde, then now she's an on-reveal, then it actually changes how cards are. Now, Kitty Pryde is more susceptible to locations where Nebula is not, and that Nebula gets a little space to breathe. Or you need to start figuring out ways that you can get around stuff like this. I mean, there's ways that you can get around the Loki collector combo. If you don't like the Loki collector combo, some of the things that get you around it are Shadow King, Shadow King, which can just break down the collector, which is Series 3. You can run the Valkyrie, which will squash it if you're running any kind of buff. You can run a Cerebro 3 deck, or a 3 Rebro deck as it's sometimes called. Or you can just run a Shang-Chi. The number of times that people aren't putting an armor on that is just ridiculous. But if you're worried about this, in a day, come tomorrow, come the end of today, basically, in just a few hours, I should say, as when the clock works over, you might even see Loki drop down because of the new card that's coming out today from the collectors, from the Spotlight Reserve. That new card, that Darkness Olotef card, it's gonna see a rise in Galactus decks come back around. And guess what Loki doesn't do good with? He doesn't do good with Galactus decks. The best that Loki can hope for is that he comes down on 3 and gets your card of the Olotef, and then plays it when you play your Galactus on your Galactus location. And that's the best that you can hope for, and that they've got the prio. Without the prio, that would destroy your Galactus and not be fine. But then they've already played the card and you can just go and finish it off. So, there's a lot that is being said about Loki being this new Zabu, this new broken card. And while I do agree that there's some things that can be done about it to bring it back more into line, I think it's also a time for Second Dinner to really go through and look at what they're doing with some of these non-cards, I'm going to call them. The cards that are non-on-reveal, non-ongoing, non-moving, non-destroy, and basic. They gotta be very careful about giving out this tag going forward. There's some of these cards that I think could do with a refresh on whether or not they need a keyword added to them. Whether or not they should now go to on review or ongoing to slow them down. And I think the one that's going to get the biggest hit when all is said and done is going to be the collector. I would not be shocked or amazed if the collector all of a sudden next month was an ongoing card. I wouldn't be shocked or amazed if somehow Loki got a few points knocked off of him. But I also wouldn't be shocked and amazed if come this time next week, no one's really talking about Loki anymore. For some reason, whenever the newest card comes out, for the first week, it's the most broken card in the world. And I think that mostly has to do with the fact that nobody's figured out how to play around it or play with it yet. So anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, remember, play for fun.